Hello, welcome to the webinar today. Today's webinar, we're focusing on managing mail with our NexDelivery app. My name is Stephen. I am a regional sales manager for North America, and I'm being joined today by Liva, who is one of our product designers. Just to let you know, a bit of housekeeping, the webinar today should last between 20 and 30 minutes. We will leave some time for questions at the end, which hopefully we'll answer. I'll answer those for you. But during the webinar, please feel free to drop any of those questions into the Q&A section in the Zoom here. The recording will be sent out as well and available on the usual Nexudus channels, so on our knowledge base and YouTube. Now, I've been working for Nexudus for 5 years now. Before this, which was actually about 10 years ago, I actually opened and managed a co-working space brand in London. So there may be a few people here today that I may have met before. They probably would have heard me many times telling these stories about when I was an operator. So apologies to those people, but here is another. When I was an operator, I never thought much about the fact that we used to let members use our space for deliveries. And it was as part of their membership. So I remember vividly, actually, we opened just before Christmas as well. So I just remember all of these different Amazon deliveries coming every day, and it got a bit chaotic. It's like every day. We struggled, and it was like chaos. Basically, we were emailing members. Members were coming up to reception, and we were sort of trailing through a packed post room. So getting the packages to the right person, or the right people, sorry, was a very time-consuming job. And we never really had any proof that the correct person got the right package. So maybe some of you might have had similar experiences. I hope I wasn't the only one. But now, in my role, I do speak to many operators, and they do have some similar manual processes, or they're using outside systems as well. And also with the growth of virtual offices, and there's obviously a lot of legalities around that as well, especially with handling commercial mail. It's more important now to have a clear and automated procedure. So today, we'd like to introduce some new updates to the NexDelivery app to help you. It may surprise some of you, but it's not a new app, actually. So we did actually release it originally in 2018. But now with Liva and the team, we've made some really cool enhancements to the app as well to really help you. So we'd like to show you those today. Now, just to note, the NexDelivery is a part of your standard Nexus subscription. There are some features that we will go through today that enhance that kind of virtual office functionality. So obviously you do need to have that virtual office module enabled. So we will, and that is an additional, add-on. So we will make sure we highlight these. Often people ask us as well, so I just wanted to mention it is a mobile app, and it is for you as operators. So obviously it's not something the member needs to download. It's just for you and your team. We will show you lots of different features. However, you can adapt these to your own flow, so how your business works. So whether that's getting a signature, printing labels, forwarding mail, things like that. And then obviously I mentioned virtual offices. So the new enhancement here, that you can actually add automatic charges as well to people's accounts as well, based on some of these services as well. So sit back. Now I'm going to hand over to Liva, who's going to give you a live demo of the system and the app. Sorry.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stephen. So to kick us off and share you all the new things that Stephen mentioned, let's start with the setup and configuration. So first things first, let's have a look at what settings you should enable to make sure that your team member that is managing the mail has access to this. So go to roles and make sure that the role that your team member is assigned to has got NexDelivery enabled. And then make sure that into this role, your user has been added to this. So that then will mean that your team member will be able to log in either through their email and password or through using an SSO if that has been enabled for your space. One other thing that you can configure for this app is that you can enable and disable some of the things. So depending on your space's needs, you could choose to show or hide collection signature screen, and I'll show you in a second kind of how that looks like. And you can also do the same for delivery printing options, so you can show or hide it. So this particular delivery label, so it means it's more so for internal management. If you want a way to for logistically organize and manage your deliveries with like different labels so it's easier to find, you can use the printing functionality. So without further ado, let me go and show you how the new NexDelivery app looks like. If you give me just 1 second, I need to make sure that I'm mirroring the screen. Stephen, maybe are there any questions while I'm getting this set up?
Uh, yes, there is. Sorry, 1 second. It says, oh, so one of them says, what happens? Actually, no, wait, sorry. We have a tablet at our front desk. Can we install NexDelivery instead of the phone?
Yep, great question. So in theory, yes, you can install it on the tablet. However, it might not really be the best experience because the NexDelivery app has been designed with the mobile device in mind. So let's say you're on the move, you might be moving around, managing the kind of deliveries in different places. So it might be a little bit easier managing that with a mobile device in hand than with a tablet, which is often a little bit bigger. So now managed to set up my screen mirroring. So hopefully now you should be able to see the NexDelivery app on your screens.
We
So
can.
let's start with registering a new delivery for a customer. So if you go click the register button, so you'll notice the camera screen at the moment will be black. So that's because I'm mirroring my phone on the laptop, and for privacy reasons, it doesn't enable the camera. But I'll show you in a second kind of walkthrough of the camera experience. So one of the key things that we have enabled as a part of this new functionality is the option to automatically extract recipient details from the delivery label. So here you saw an error message. It's mainly because there was no information to extract from the delivery label, but you can also always choose to type the details manually if you prefer, or if you, for example, know that the particular customer is not on the system or might be named differently than the delivery label says. So let me look for a customer to assign this to. So let's look for Grayson. And then let's assign this to Grayson. Then this is an optional thing, but you can also define what type of delivery this is. So let's say this is parcel, for example, and I'll show you in a second where that kind of comes into play. This is more useful for virtual office deliveries where your customers might have different preferences for different delivery types. So let's go ahead. I will show you one more thing that you can also see that, okay, Grayson is your hot desk member. For their parcels, they are stored for collection. An important thing to note is that for any customers that are not virtual office customers, all of their deliveries by default will be stored for collection. So let me quickly show you how this also looks for a virtual office customer. So let me take a quick picture. This time I'll just type the details manually because I know that the customer is not on the system. Let me look for a customer. So let's say we're registering mail for Amy. So if we scroll down, we can see that Amy prefers their mail to be recycled. And unlikely scenario, but I just wanted to make sure to kind of cover all the different use cases. And a thing to note that these handling preferences that you want to be available for your members are defined within the plan for virtual offices. If you want to learn a little bit more, we did recently do a more extensive walkthrough of the virtual office functionality and how it's set up. So do have a look at that. And let me go and register this. So now we've registered to deliveries, and before we move on to delivery processing, Let me quickly show you on how your customer might update their delivery preferences. So there are two things they could do. They could either go to their plans and benefits and manage their virtual office preferences. So, and then they can go and update. So let's say we looked at, they could update mail and whatever the options we have defined within a plan are the options that your customer will be able to see. Another option could also be that they go to their deliveries and they are, let's say, for example, we have a delivery which is publicity material, and for some reason, actually, the customer would like this particular delivery to be forwarded. So once they've done that, then we automatically update on the system that this specific delivery will be forwarded rather managed in any other way. So now that I've showed you this, let's go back to the NexDelivery. So I'll show you how what we've called delivery processing works. So let's say Grayson pops by the reception and wants to collect their parcel. So we can see that Grayson's delivery is stored for collection, so we can mark as collected and they can sign for the delivery. So this particular screen, as I mentioned, is something that you can turn on or off depending on your space's needs. Like let's say that you have like a self-serve pickup at the reception where people just pick up, you can disable that screen as you, for example, don't need that information. So let's mark this as collected. And now let's have a look at some other permutations that are available for virtual office customers. So for example, here we can see that Gracie's delivery is pending shredding. So the way we've set up virtual office delivery workflows is that we automatically show you the next step that is required for that particular delivery. So I'll show you a few other permutations of what could happen, but this one, for example, is just purely shredding. You can mark it as shredded, and here is where another step comes in. So let's say, for example, you would like to charge your customers for shredding service. So you could easily set up within a plan that you charge your customers for shredding. You could do that by setting up a product, a shredding product, and then linking that to the plan. And what this will mean is that this charge will automatically be surfaced during this process. And I'll show in a second how that looks like when a charge is linked to it. So here we've marked the delivery as shredded. Let's have a look at another delivery where it's pending to be forwarded. So you can do a few things. You can mark it as forwarded by default, or you can also add a forwarding receipt. So when would this be useful? So for example, if you forwarded it using a third-party service and you've got a tracking receipt from them, you can take a photo of it or upload it, and then your customer will see it on the members portal and the app as well, and they'll be able to track it to see where the delivery is at. So in this case, let's just mark this as forwarded. And this is where the charges come in. So here you can see that in the system, in the admin panel, we have set up two charges. We have set up forwarding small, forwarding large. You could set up however many charges are relevant to your space. So let's say it's forwarding small for this one. The unit price is defined within the product, but this is something that you can easily override. So let's say we would like to charge them 10 pounds for this particular delivery. So let's go ahead and mark this as forwarded. And I'd like to highlight one last kind of way of processing deliveries and handling preference, which is scanning and storing for collection. And there could be other permutations like scan and forward, scan and recycle, scan and shred. But basically all this means is the second step is scanning and then there's another step. So let's go ahead and scan the document. Two different ways of doing this. You could either basically take a photo of the document or you could upload the document scan from your device. A thing to note that at the moment for this first iteration, you can only take one photo of a scan, but if you're uploading the document scan, you could upload like a document with multiple pages. So let me go, and again, you won't see my camera because I'm mirroring my screen, but the flow would kind of be exactly the same. If there were any additional handling charges linked, at this point they would be surfaced. But let's just go mark as scanned. And then here at this point, you can just mark that it has been stored. And the reason why we've added a secondary mark delivery is stored step is that because within the virtual office plan, you can also set up a storage charge. So for example, let's say you would like to give your customers 7 days free storage. And then if they don't pick up the parcel, the mail within 7 days, you would like to charge them a storage fee. So that's basically the reason for why we've set that up. So let's go ahead. Let's mark that stored. At this point, you could go back to the home screen, or let's say if they are at the reception, you can just mark them as collected. So now I've shown you what are the different settings that you have to set up to have access for NexDelivery and what are the things that you can enable, disable. We had a look at how to register delivery as well as how to process delivery. One last thing to highlight is how to search for a delivery. So you could do it in 2 different ways. You could either manually search for Amy, for example, and then it will pull up all the different deliveries available for Amy. So you could do it this way. Or alternatively, you could also use the scan collection QR barcode. So it won't work for me at the moment because again, I'm mirroring and there's no access to the camera. But I will show you in a second of how this would look like, a short video preview of how the QR and barcode scanning works. So hopefully this gives like a good overview of how the NexDelivery app is working. I will want to highlight one more thing is that you might notice that in the NexDelivery app, you see only deliveries that are pending processing, but you won't see any deliveries that have been sort of collected or forwarded. If you want to see those deliveries, you can just head to the admin panel, operations and deliveries, and you will find all the deliveries that your team has dealt with. So now let me hand back over to Stephen. And before he actually gives you a little bit more information, I'll also show a short video preview of how the delivery label extraction works. So what you're seeing here right now, we take a photo of a delivery, then the system is processing the information shown on the delivery labeling the label and matching it with a record on the system. And note that if there isn't a 100% match, it might show you a list of different customers of different options that you can select. But this is basically an easier way to extract the recipient details, but you can always just tap the enter details manually and do it also that way if you prefer. And the last thing to highlight that I didn't manage to demo was the option to search for a delivery using a QR code. So there are 2 kind of use cases for that. So first one might be that let's say Grayson pops by reception and they have a confirmation email of their delivery. The confirmation email will contain a QR code that your team can just open up the NexDelivery app, scan the barcode through the search bar, and then it will automatically pull up that delivery on NexDelivery, and then you can just mark it as collected. So basically an easier way of finding a delivery on the platform. And another use case is that if you are using the printed labels that I mentioned before for kind of managing and handling the deliveries internally and organizing them, you could just point the camera to the barcode and it will again automatically pick up that delivery on the camera. And now let me hand back off to Stephen.
Thanks, Liva. That's great. As I say, I wish I had those functions when I was an operator. That would be great. Just to remind everyone, thanks that I think I've seen some people are putting stuff into the chat. Could we just remind you could actually, if you could just put that into the Q&A section, that'd be great. We do have our team actually on hand that we can answer them. If we can't answer them live now, we're just going to try and run through a few. They will come back to you there. So if you can just add those to the Q&A section, that'd be great. As I move over to some of those questions, actually, let's have a look here. Is it possible to scan multiple pages at once, Liva?
No, not at the moment. So you can only scan a single page at a time. But as a workaround is you could upload a scan from your device instead. But it is something that we are considering as a part of future improvements.
We have two co-working spaces, one in one area, and we have to scan mail at each location. Our staff work at both locations throughout the week. Is there an easier way to switch between the locations rather than signing out of the app?
It is something that we're taking on board in terms of the feedback around the signing out, because we do know that at the moment you'll have to enter the email and the password to sign out. At the moment, you would have to sign out to switch your location to another one. But again, we will take that on board for future improvements.
What happens? Sorry, I think you might have mentioned it. What happens if a customer hasn't selected their delivery handling preference?
Yep, great question. So by default, all the deliveries that don't have, if the customer doesn't have any preferences set up on their account, we will default them to store for collection because it's kind of like the least destructive option.
As an admin, where can I see a record of all the deliveries that have been processed?
Yep. So as I briefly mentioned in the NexDelivery app, you will only see the deliveries that are pending processing. Anything that has been stored, whether it's collected, forwarded, recycled, those you can find on the admin panel operations deliveries.
Amazing. Sorry, just one second. So is it possible to register multiple deliveries in one go as well? Sorry, I don't know if that was
Great question. Yes, at the moment it is not possible, but it is something that we are actively working on and it will be coming very soon. I would also like to plug our tester database. If you do want to sign up to it, drop a message to support@nexudus.com. It's a great way to stay in loop with anything that we're working on from early on from the research and design stage. And you have a way to help us shape and improve. And with that, I actually wanted to say a massive thank you with all the customers that shared feedback on NexDelivery, to everyone that helped us during the design stage, all the customers that participated in beta testing, and everyone that shared feedback once we've released the app. I want to kind of emphasize that we do take all the feedback on board, and it's incredibly helpful to know that if there are things that we can improve, make better, make easier, because it's better for us and better for you. So yeah, thank you very much for that.
I think this is are the features of shredding, storage, and forwarding only available with Virtual Office?
Yes,
That is correct.
that's correct. Yeah.
So what happens to deliveries if they aren't collected within a certain amount of time?
Yep, great question. So at the moment, there is nothing really that happens. You could set up a reminder to kind of trigger a reminder to your customers after a certain period of time to remind them that the delivery is still pending collection. There is something that we've implemented as a part of virtual office functionality that I briefly touched on. So you could define almost free storage days. And then if the delivery hasn't been collected in those, you could start charging the customer for storage. So that's kind of a way for you to get additional revenue and also kind of nudge your customers to collect them on time, unless they wanted to kind of collect any additional fees.
So I think we may have to, I know there's quite a few questions here. We may have to wrap up soon because we're coming up to time, but we will kind of come back to our team actually will continue to monitor those for 5 minutes or so. Maybe we've got time for one more. Actually, I don't know which one. We we use we use NexDelivery on a tablet. The mail comes in with the company name, but the app usually makes us find the person's name rather than allowing us to input the company name.
Yep, great
Is that
question. I know, and I'm assuming I know
I don't
where
know the question there. Yeah,
you're going.
sorry. I was just trying to think of the actual.
No, all good. I've heard this feedback from a few customers since we've released it, and it is one of the functionalities that we are looking into that you can both register a delivery for a customer and a company. So that will be coming soon as well. And if you do have any other delivery kind of related feedback or any questions, do drop a note to support@nexudus.com as we'd love to hear them.
Yes, I was just going to say that. So yeah, sorry. Thanks for everyone for their input. And sorry if we didn't get to exactly your question, but we will. Our team will come back to you, and please feel free to follow up with our support team as well at support@nexudus.com, or your usual kind of way. But yeah, thanks so much for everyone for attending. And we will send a recording. Just to remind you, we'll send a recording out of this as well. So yeah, thank you very much, and take care for today.